welcome back to another edition of the Here We Go podcast. I am your host, Trent Ging. Today I'm going to be talking about the Ravens, round two. Obviously, we take a loss in that game. The score was a little higher than what I was anticipating, to be perfectly honest with you. Of course, the Ravens get the defensive touchdown on the Russell Wilson pick six. So let's just dive into the game and see what went wrong. And I think part of what went wrong is an obvious statement. There was no George Pickens. So much of the offense runs through George Pickens, or he creates opportunities for others simply by being out there. And when you lose that piece and you don't have another reliable option, it really is killing us. I mean, look, Russell Wilson, I thought both kept us in the game and later ended up costing us the game. And what I mean by that is one play kind of told the story. Russ does a great job recognizing that no one was open downfield. It was man-to-man coverage. The defense is running away from him. He takes off and runs. No one's open. He takes off and runs for what would have been a 30-yard gain. And instead of sliding or going towards the outside, he cuts back inside, gets hit by a DB who jars the ball loose, and fumbles away a clear scoring opportunity. That was the second time Russ has ran the ball this year and fumbled. I don't mind him taking off with the ball. I don't mind him trying to get extra yardage, but he's got to realize we didn't need him to score right there and play Superman. I get the thought. I know he's a competitor. I know he wants to help his team win in any way he can. But he had the ball clear down around the 4 or 3 yard line. All he has to do is slide. The throw that ends up going directly to Marlon Humphrey, where he takes it back for the pick six. Russ is rolling out of the pocket. There's some pressure coming behind him. I mean, Pruitt was heavily covered. I don't know what Russ saw and what made him believe that that throw was going to be there. Maybe he just did not see Marlon Humphrey sitting out there. I mean, there wasn't an open receiver. The best play was to either throw it away or Darnell Washington was coming behind Pruitt about 4 yards, 5 yards, something like that. I don't recall exactly. And he had a guy who was tiny on him. I mean, you could have tried to maybe put one up and out of the DB's reach where only Darnell had a chance at it and see if he makes a play, but there was no play to be made to Michael Pruitt, and it made me feel like Russ is just pressing. He was pressing a little bit in that game to make the big plays. And outside of the two mistakes that he made, in large part, I thought he did a pretty good job everywhere else. I thought he made some nice throws to Calvin Austin. I thought he had some nice throws to Pat Freiermuth. I thought he had a really nice ball to Van Jefferson. I could not believe Van Jefferson actually got open. But that's the thing. I felt like he pressed, and I felt like Russ didn't think the offense was going to get moving unless he got it moving, and he pushed too hard. And I thought that was kind of the story of the game. I think it was 22 of 33, 229 yards roughly. So I thought Russ both kept us in the game, and I thought he also hurt us in this game. And it really probably cost us the game when, you give up a pick six. That really sealed the game for them in a lot of ways. How much would it have mattered when Derrick Henry's running all over this defense? May not have mattered at all, because even if we kept scoring, they may have kept scoring just as well. Defense, with the injury to Deshaun Elliott, I'm going to say it again. The dude means more to our defense than people want to admit. Deshaun Elliott is the glue that makes all of this defense work in the secondary. He's the piece that allows Minkah Fitzpatrick to be in the back end, to be the communicator. Minkah's an excellent communicator in the back end. And you take him out of that position and you put him in the box. And it's not just about him playing out of position, because he can play in the box. He can play in the box really effectively. Actually, he may be as effective as Deshaun Elliott at playing in the box. But you lose the communicator on your back end when you do these things. And I'm sorry, but Devontae KZ is just not that guy. He's slow. He does not cover a lot of ground. He's a very instinctual player. I think he tries to put himself in the right positions a lot of times. He's just not very good. He's a backup for a reason. We need Deshaun Elliott back. And we need Deshaun Elliott back like 2 games ago. He was a monster off-season signing. He does everything well. He's a great run stopper for a strong safety. But most importantly, he lets Minkah Fitzpatrick control the back end of the defense. And I think that's important. I think that's very important. Larry Ogunjobi not being there, I think you saw guys like Dean Lowry get bullied at the line of scrimmage. Isaiah Loudermilk wasn't much more effective. Keanu Benton didn't have a good game. Cameron Hayward is still a stud. I mean, I don't know what else you want to say about him at this point in the season. Like, the dude's name should be in Defensive Player of the Year conversations. I don't care if he's not the sexy pick as the edge rushing type of guy who makes the splash plays. He is one of the best defensive players in football this year, and it's not an argument. Anyone who knows anything about football can admit Cameron Hayward should be in the conversation. I don't know if he's going to ever win it because he's not a complete freak like what Aaron Donald was, but this dude deserves to be in the conversation every bit as much as anyone who's currently in it. He's having an insane season for a 35-year-old defensive lineman. Insane. But he's the only guy up front who was doing anything. Montravius Adams had a couple nice moments. I thought Benton had a couple of nice pass rush moments, but the run defense, in large part, just was atrocious. Linebackers were not filling holes correctly. I think the Ravens did something different in this game than what they have done in the past. They spread us out to run the ball. Usually we see 2 tight end sets and Patrick Ricard. This game, they changed that. If you noticed, a lot of King Henry's big runs were coming out of 11 personnel, where they were putting 3 guys out, and sometimes they were splitting the tight end out as well. They were not on the end line. Now, that was very few and far between, but the point remains, even if Ricard was in, everyone was off the line of scrimmage, spread out away from the tackles. And Henry was just picking his poison. And the best part of Casey's game was he actually made those tackles in the open field, because Probably 3 or 4 of them could have gone for a touchdown pretty easily. And for a smaller DB to come up and make a tackle like that on Henry, and he was attacking Henry, he was not waiting, which may be why it worked. I thought it was pretty remarkable because there was probably 3 touchdowns in there that he was about to break, and KZ happens to get enough of them to trip him up. Lario's had a nice season. It was abundantly clear we were missing him in this game. Deshaun Elliott's having a fantastic season. It was abundantly clear we were missing him in this game. And the secondary is a complete disaster. Corey Trice was not good. He gets his opportunity to start and play. We didn't start, but he played a ton, especially after Joey goes down with an injury. And you've got Trice and Pierre as your starting corners, with DeMonte KZ as your starting free safety. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a recipe for disaster. The fact that Lamar did not have a bigger game was quite incredible, and just shows that dude still has a mental block regardless of who we've got back there. Because he should have picked this secondary apart without any issues whatsoever. Don't get me wrong, he had a couple of nice throws. Statistically, he had a pretty good game. Still threw us a pick, though. I mean, as usual, he gives us one every game. Henry really made the pass game irrelevant for the Ravens because they probably could have handed the ball to Derrick Henry every single time, and there's nothing our defense was going to do about it. So as good as we've been this season, it's stopping the big-name running backs. Colin and Lowry and I talked about that just last week. It's never the big-name guys, right? Well, in this case, it was the big-name guy. First time Henry's really just broke one open and just absolutely beat on us. And there was nothing we could do about it. So the highest paid defense in the NFL has got some work to do because they are not where they need to be right now. We had like 20 missed tackles last week against the Eagles. I would venture to guess it's not going to be that high this week, but there were still plenty of missed tackles to go around. The bottom line is AFC North crown or not, this team has to get healthy, or we're going to be watching another first-round bust once again as a fan base. We need our guys back in the mix. And it honestly, it really feels like if Pickens plays in this game, we would have won. Even if we couldn't stop Henry. I just felt like Russ was ready to play. He wouldn't have had to force the ball to guys like Michael Pruitt. We could have thrown the ball to, George Pickens, who's a top 5 receiver in the NFL right now. But what I took away from this game is we need another wide receiver. I'm telling you, I know people don't like it. I would go after Deontay Johnson. I don't care what the organization thinks pride-wise or personality-wise, whatever. You need that guy who can be a threat because the running game cannot get going. Not consistently. And speaking of the run game, I really don't want to see Cordero Patterson on the field again, ever. I don't care if he caught a touchdown pass. I don't want to see that dude on the field. He can be a kick returner, and that's it. Jaylen Warren was clearly the best back out of the bunch this game. And he did come out as the second guy on the field, but this is the first time this year he's come out as a second running back in quite a while. It's been Najee and then Cordell Patterson. Why? Like, why? Patterson is not a good runner. Warren is much better than Patterson. We need to get rid of that mindset and quit giving this guy offensive opportunities. He's not that good. Arthur Smith treats these mid-level guys, or even, I don't even know if you want to consider him mid-level, because to be honest with you, even when he's returning kicks, the dude looks washed up. He has no burst whatsoever. That dude's not taking one to the house. He's not the player from 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not even sure if you'd be worse off with Jonathan Ward in there right now. Like, I don't know. It's kind of wild to me that Arthur Smith has his guys that he falls in love with, and then he just continues to give them opportunities. The offense isn't nearly as effective as it needs to be right now to be a playoff team. The defense certainly hasn't been effective the last 2 games. We got some work to do. We got a short week where we're going to host Kansas City. They're saying George Pickens could be back for this game. I don't know what the team will decide to do with him, because honestly, I felt like in the videos that we saw, he looked healthy enough to play in the Ravens game. So we'll see what happens, but we clearly need him on the field, or the offense doesn't do anything. We clearly need Deshaun Elliott back, or the defense doesn't work. And if Joey can't play in this game and you don't have Deshaun Elliott, and KZ's calling out all the signals on the back end again, man, Patrick Mahomes is going to eat their lunch all day. I don't care if this Kansas City team hasn't looked nearly as explosive as it's been in the past. He's still Patrick freaking Mahomes, and he would still tear this defense apart. With the way Corey Trice played and the way James Pierre played in this game, you can't have both those guys starting in this game. And KZ on the back end. It's going to end very badly. Like, Mahomes might hang 40 on us. So we'll see what happens. I think that we have a clear opportunity in this game. Hopefully we get both of those guys back, like Coach Tomlin mentioned. Hopefully Larry O's back. And we can try to get some strength on strength against this Kansas City team and see where we stand. Maybe we can make a run at Kansas City. I don't know. We got to see something actually happen and quit speculating. So I hope y'all have a better Monday than what we had on a Saturday. And let's get ready for KC on Christmas. Thanks for listening. Hope y'all have a great day.